This week on Motorhead Garage, Brian and John get another look at the cutting abilities of the KMT Waterjet system. And later on, learn about a new line of suspension components and much more. Next on Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting.
Welcome to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Well, you know, when it's all about productivity, we brought in Chris from MultiCam. Chris, you're an expert. I'm talking about productivity, man. In my industry, automotive, time's money. We work on flat rate. We get paid for what we do. What's my choices? What's going to make me productive with this machine?
Anytime you talk about productivity and you want to grow or expand your business, it's going to come down to two things. How do I maximize my production? How do I maximize my profitability? Profitability is what you're after as a business owner.
Sure.
Right? So that's where these decisions are going to come into play. So as we get started here on the cut, let me explain some of the differences between 60,000, 90,000 PSI and what will get you that profitability that you're after.
Now we're going to cut a different material. We're going to start with some stainless steel. We'll get that cutting, and then we're going to move over to copper. So we know it's versatile, but let's talk about productivity. What's the difference between the 90,000 PSI and the 60,000 PSI? What's that going to do for me as a business owner?
So when you go to a higher pressure, it allows you to go faster. Faster cut equals more productivity. So you're going to wind up getting more parts out per hour, more parts out per day, and that's what makes you more productive and more profitable.
Now we start talking about a big chunk of metal like that. I mean, this makes a big difference. It's going to cut a lot slower, is it not?
Right, absolutely. As you go thicker in material, you have to travel slower to allow that cut to get to the bottom of the material, right?
Right.
So that water is an abrasive process. It's using garnet to slowly erode, basically, on something that thick. It's going to erode that material through to the bottom of the cut.
Now also that 90,000 PSI, I'm going to save on material, aren't I?
Not just with the 90,000, but how you use your software and what system you have.
Okay.
So that's where we at MultiCam come into play for sure. You're going to design your system around what the size of material that you're using, and you're going to use the software to nest those parts together, just like you'd have two parts to nest together,
right?
Versus if you did two parts that were side by side, you're going to waste a lot more material if you can't nest it.
And also speed is time. I mean, you talked that race car analogy.
Your speed analogy is great, actually. When you think about the advancements of engine, even, right? Think about just 5 years ago and the advancements of engine. This is an engine, right? So we've gone from 60,000 PSI to 90,000 PSI. We've also gone to where our maintenance cycles are far, far longer, right? It's like an oil change. You don't have to change your oil near as often in these newer engines, okay? And then on top of that, the race car itself, that's the MultiCam piece, right? So that's how fast it's going to move, how fast it's going to accelerate. We spend a lot of time studying the different motors, drives, computer systems, and nesting software is going to get you the productivity you need.
And that's going to make it move quicker to make the cuts where it needs to make. Maybe it's in a place it's not cutting. It has to get over there quicker.
Yeah, that's actually called cut-to-cut cycle time.
Wow.
Right? So, and your software is critical to that, and your system has to be capable of moving to accelerate to those speeds to get to the next cut and get going.
Well, it's the fastest Waterjet. There's no doubt about that. What about that velocity, man? We were talking about Mach 1, Mach 2. Very, very interesting. I mean, when we're cutting, we need that fine strain to do it.
The speed of that water coming out the end of that nozzle is actually Mach 2.
Whoa.
Right? Twice the speed of sound. When you transition to 90,000 PSI, you're 3 times the speed of sound. Now, amazing.
Yeah, now we got through with the stainless. I mean, that's no problem whatsoever. Now we can just switch gears in a matter of minutes, right? We can just reprogram this thing. What are we going to cut next?
Right there, we got copper. There's no elaborate tool change. I didn't have to go into a different style head. I didn't have to go into a different size orifice even. I went straight into the different material. And the computer, I just said, I'm going to go cut some copper.
Now, I cut some stainless steel with my bandsaw. Well, let me tell you, I can't afford the blades. That's impossible. I mean, that thing cut through it like butter. And you know what?
Right.
You can do it over and over again.
Stainless steel is very, very hard. Copper is actually soft, right? So boom, right through the bandsaw. You have other problems with it getting gummy. It's so soft. Stainless is so hard that you're going to wear your tools out. Waterjet actually doesn't care. Put the material in front of it, that abrasive process is going to cut right through that material, whether it's thin or thick.
Now the cool thing is the time. Your analogy on my numbers. You can cut the 1 through 9 that same time you cut the 1 through 6 just by boosting the motor and the performance of the system.
Exactly right, exactly right. So 90,000 PSI, what that's going to allow you to do is cut more product in the same amount of time. So what you're seeing here is actually the same exact amount of time to cut what you see on the 60,000. Cut the 90,000 PSI this much larger. It's actually 50% more. 50% more product at the same amount of time.
That's amazing. You know, this thing cuts everything, even the thick steel. I mean, it rips right through it. What's your website? Where can we find you?
MultiCam.com. You can also find information on the KMT Waterjet pumps at KMTWaterjet.com.
Well, Chris, Brian Lowens, he can only cut up to 6, so I'm going to teach him to cut a little bit further. You guys stick around. We'll be right back. There's more Motorhead Garage right after this break.